We are getting ready for San Diego Comic-Con, and we, in that vein, have nearly worked Mackie to death.
Yay! I mean, yo.
Yeah. He's unfortunately been under the weather today, but we were very, very excited that our friend Markeia was able to join us. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for not quite driving down yet, for holding off for just a couple hours.
Not quite yet. I'll go right after the show. It'll be like I missed nothing.
We really appreciate you coming by on, several hours' notice to join us for this week's discussion, which is going to be all about the works nominated for this year's Eisner Awards.
Yes!
This is how it should always be.
Yes.
This is, part of. I'm very excited because my multi-year crusade to ruin the Eisners. I'm very excited for the time 10 years from now where you have to get in line the night before to go to the Eisners because I finally succeeded in letting people know that anyone with a badge can go to the Eisner Awards, which is a thing that nobody knows, and that room is half empty, and it is cool, and it is air conditioned, and it is a big boring awards show full of legends of comics, and you can go if you have a San Diego badge. So that PSA out of the way.
This is what I live for.
What's an Eisner Award?
What is it? What is an Eisner Award? An Eisner Award is the, okay, God, you know so much more about this. Why did you turn to me for this?
It's like the Oscars of comic books.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll do.
Yeah. The Eisners, it's a celebration of excellence for, the comic books that really struck a chord in our hearts for the past year. Comic books that you're not even aware of, like things like the short stories where it's about history. Like my favorite one out of that is A Life in Comics, where it talks about Karen Green.
I just read that for this.
I really enjoy that one.
Our first spotlight on a nominated work is going to be A Life in Comics. Tell us about A Life in Comics.
Oh wow, that was quick. We're already into it.
In the best short story category for the 2018 Eisners.
I really enjoyed it because it's basically it's history in a graphic novel. Like it's legitimate history. It's Karen Green, where it's actually the author of A Life in Comics ran into Karen Green, learned her life, and then basically put it into a graphic novel. And the way that is actually paneled, I love. For instance, in Karen Green's life, when her father, and the way that they do it, it's like this giant circle with her, like a bulbous dad head, in the middle.
I almost pulled that image, but I pulled the page before. We do have a page from
Oh my God, this is actually one of the ones we pulled.
In the doc, but go on.
Where it even, I even like the fact that it kind of does
Oh, look
nod
at that.
to, it's gorgeous. I like that on the next page over that it gives a nod to people that might not read comics and don't realize that it's not linear. So it actually numbers the panels that you're supposed to go to while you're circling around this dad head who's basically saying the same advice that my dad gave me. My dad really supports my career, but he's like, oh yeah, no, your job should be something that you survive with, and then you do your other stuff in your free time. So it's basically that.
It's a little sad. So
he's come around.
It's a short biography of Karen Green, who is the comics curator at the Rare Book Library at Columbia University, someone whose career I've been following for a while. And what I hadn't realized till I read the comic is that when she started working, because she was trained as a medievalist, but she'd always loved comics, and when she started working at the Rare Book Library, they had 3 graphic novels.
That was it. They had
Persepolis, Mouse, I think.
Mouse, well, of course,
Because
Mouse.
everybody's got Mouse.
And I forget the third one.
And one more, but they literally had 3. They now have 14,000.
Yes.
And the man who wrote and drew this short biography of her, Nick Susanis, it's one of my top need to reads. He did his dissertation in the form of a comic. It's about comics and it's called Unflattening. And so he uses all these different styles. So the numbered panels is during the section where she's falling in love with Winsor McCay's Little Nemo. So it's done in a Little Nemo style all around. And obviously the medieval page that you just saw is done in the form of manuscripts to reflect that part of her life. So it's just a great example of the way that you're telling a story with words and pictures designed for a specific effect in a really great way. It's almost like we should have an award for doing that well and call it a comic book award.
I adore you, Amy.
This is.
And what I love also about this category, this is technically the first category listed. If you go to look at the nominations, it's best short story. 4 out of 5 of these are freely available online, whether that's right now just because of the awards or because some of them were just natively free online. The 5th one is not that expensive.
Transplant.
Yeah.
Which I didn't get a chance to read it, but knowing what it was about, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, it's basically, let's have a fish out of water story without it having to be like butting heads, war, imperialism type of a thing. Mm-hmm. Where it's like a person goes to another alien planet. It's like, I don't want this tourist trap crap. I'm going to go where the real stuff is. It's like, you shouldn't go where the real stuff is. And here's all the reasons why.
But it takes an interesting turn after that, and it's very cool. I think we have the first page of Transplant.
Wow.
Which was from, this is the one category where I pulled all the information.
I was going to say, I'm so impressed so far.
It was in an anthology called Enough Space for Everyone Else by Bedside Press, which is a publishing line done by Hope Nicholson, who I've also been following for the last couple of years. She runs Bedside Press, and they put together this very interesting anthology of science fiction stories that were sort of like, what's a bunch of other kinds of sci-fi stories that aren't just about people pew-pewing at each other?
Yeah.
And so people kind of took that prompt and ran with it. And Rosalarian, Megan Rose Gedris, is the author of Transplant.
I like that. It's kind of like, hey, Old Man's War is cool. Love John's Scalzi, but let's see, like, if it's not having to be war.
I want to just say, because we've already got a question that I think is important to answer really quickly. What besides the San Diego Comic-Con badge do you need in order to attend the Eisner Awards? And I believe the answer to that is nothing. You need a shirt and shoes and probably pants. You should check on that one. But I definitely know that the shirt and shoes is a thing, and a badge. A shirt, shoes, pants, a badge, and a willingness to walk a couple blocks.
If you are located in San Diego on Friday night, circa 8 o'clock, and you have a badge that covers Friday at San Diego Comic-Con, this too can be yours.
So the two things we didn't mention before we went right into it. My God.
Oh, sorry.
My God. And into a category where I've done very little research, which excites me, because this is how I get to absorb this, is these awards, of course, named after Will Eisner, the late great Will Eisner, who is one of the great comic book creators of the 1940s. And created The Spirit, which is an amazing book that one day we will actually cover properly.
Ooh.
There's going to be a
New lore.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing of his that I own,
Is
but
The
it's
Spirit?
enough.
It's a lot to
I want
learn
to do
from
like
The Spirit.
the Killers. I want to dive into that and a couple of others of his. But
Are you coming back?
Please
Are you
come
coming
back
back for Will
an
Eisner?
Eisner.
oh, I can come back for Eisner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Because there's a lot to talk about. Having especially lived through much of the change and development of the 20th century, there's a lot to talk about in his work. He's considered one of the important forerunners of the graphic novel.
Knew it would happen. And then, what are the categories this year? Like, where are the places? What are we honoring, and why and how?
31 categories being presented at this year's Eisner Awards. They will be presented by a variety of very cool folks. Apparently, we're getting Nichelle Nichols at the Eisners this year.
What?
At least
That's excellent. Yeah. Oh my God, I love her so much.
So Benedict Wong is stopping by, which is amazing.
I hope he kind of like pieces out like halfway through.
Yeah.
Like,
Done. Going home.
I'm like, I'm good.
He's at his best when he don't give a fuck. It's so true.
And it would be, it's now classic Wong. I want that to be a thing, to be like, to Wong is to be like, yeah, this is good, I'm going, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're good, right? You're good, you're good. All right, I'm good.
So a variety of wonderful presenters. Every year, Sergio Aragonés comes and injects goofy life into the proceedings. Phil Lamar is going to be there. He's often been there before because he's just deep nerd.
Yeah, he's in a Fable. A Fable conversation with him before. It was
That's wonderful.
We've nerded.
Felicia, it looks like, is going to be at the Eisners, which
Felicia?
is exciting. I don't know what she's presenting, but
Oh, yeah.
she's on this list.
I owe her an email right now. Yes, well aware.
Let's see. So the way the Eisners work, which we maybe should mention,
Yes.
is that they have been given away. I think this is actually 30 years. So like last year, I think was the 30th award because of how numbers work. So this will be 31 because it's 1988 to 2018. If that makes sense. Right?
I'll take your word for it.
Math,
One is
so I
one,
believe
then
it.
you add 30, and it's 31. So even though that sounds like it should be the 30th anniversary, I think it's the 31st.
It could be. I don't. The chat has.
Never
no
mind.
idea
It says 30th anniversary right on this page. So whatever.
There we are.
I'm not at all loopy from con prep. I don't know what you're talking
It's also,
about.
we should add, it is like a swamp cooler in here. It is
a little warm today.
It's hot.
Peak and sunrise.
It's hot and muggy
little.
today.
Thank you,
Drinking
crew,
coffee in the hotness.
for
It is,
putting
it
up
is
with
definitely,
this.
the weather has been weird here today. Yeah, it's been a lot.
So they give out a variety of awards. There are slight differences in the categories year to year. There are some, we'll get to it later, frankly confusing categories. The difference between a digital comic and a web comic completely eludes me. But they give them separately. Post your theories in chat. They also
watching.
do, every year at the Eisners, they do things like they give out a humanitarian award, which I think we saw Mark Andreyko was co-winner of last year for putting together.
Aww.
It's the most awe anyone's had at Mark and Draco in his life, right there.
Would he be honored?
Yeah, I
or,
remember him talking about that. It was because of Pulse shootings, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would give a very
having a
sweet "go
discussion
fuck
with him.
yourself." Oh, go fuck yourself.
Take our Oz. You moved
Take
everyone.
it. I love Mark.
So they also they'll give out the Will Eisner
Love having
Spirit of Comics.
conversations with him.
I know he's so salty.
Yeah, he's salty and he has such a different mindset on what the world is.
I know.
Like, whoa. Like, he really enjoys Batman versus Superman, so I like to have conversations with him about that.
I met him years ago, like before Manhunter or any of that. We bonded over Future Boy Conan, Detective Conan, the manga. Like he was intensely into the adventures of a infantilized Arthur Conan. Like it's I don't know if you know the manga Future Conan, like Detective Conan. It's like he was a detective that got turned young and now he's like a little boy detective, but he's really a man. It's very weird.
Great.
It's
I
great.
like it.
It's very Japanese. It's lovely. There's a whole thing.
Let's see. Okay, so there's the Humanitarian Award. That's usually a retail award that goes to an excellent shop somewhere in the world. The Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailing Award. There's the Russ Manning Promising Newcomer Award, which a lot of folks that are now big on our radars are veterans of. In fact, I should check my facts on this, but I feel like Vanessa Del Rey may have won this a couple years ago and is the author on one of the nominated Best New Series this year. So, a nice timeline there.
I can check while you keep on.
Redlands with Jordi Belair.
Oh, Redlands was on here.
The part I'm not sure about is whether I'm correctly remembering that she won the Russ Manning or whether I invented that in my head.
Jordi Belair. Is she the same one that did Hawkeye?
So Jordi Belair is actually really well known as a colorist. She is a
Colorist.
previous
What do I
Eisner
know?
Award-winning colorist.
Okay, because I know
button
her
for
from
that.
something, definitely.
But
Probably,
I mean, her
probably
name's
a lot of things.
Her name's
It
on,
would be like, who's
everything.
Tom King? Oh, everyone.
Yeah. And so I believe as a writer, Redlands is either her debut or her first Eisner nom as a writer, I think.
God, I feel like she was on Hawkeye. I don't know. I don't know. All right.
I'm pulling up a lot
I can-
random.
I think
I
she
can-
colored Hawkeye for sure.
Yeah, I think she did. I can. Please continue. Sorry.
I'm all over the place. And they'll also induct some people into the Hall of Fame, which is always a really interesting one. There's usually a couple of folks picked by the judges and then a couple that get voted on. And this is a good time to discuss how that all works. A small panel, this year I think it was 6 people, gathers nominees out of works that were published the previous year. So this is all of 2017 we're talking about.
Right.
And a panel of 6 judges from different areas of the industry, who we can go into later on. But a panel of 6 judges gathered a bunch of nominees, and then industry professionals were eligible to vote. So there were a couple of months of Eisner voting. And this Friday, we will find out the results of all of that. But so it's a combination of sort of democracy and expertise that results in the Eisner Awards each year. And yeah, we can start wherever we want, but there were a couple of ones that sort of did very well in the nomination crop this year. So we might want to draw attention to.
Jodie Belair totally was a colorist on some of Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
I was like,
an
"What? I know
amazing
this."
colorist and apparently an
Yeah.
amazing writer.
Yeah, I think of what was it, number 16? Oh, God, I'm so bad at which issues. I can be like, hey, there's this storyline that you should totally check out, and here's the people, And
Here, right here. I got it for
yeah.
you right here.
Yes,
God.
with Kate Bishop.
Not color. Yeah, Jodie
yes.
Belair, color artist on issue 16.
Okay,
Here, I'll
cool,
even.
because Kelly Thompson
This
is
is one of my
amazing.
favorite covers.
I think she needs to do some Spider-Man. Has she done any Spider-Man? Because she needs to do some Spider-Man. I love the way that
know.
that she just like structured this.
I love, for anybody who doesn't know, by the way, this is, I'm just giving up on the
Yeah,
this
I
is
know.
this is the Santa Monica Pier, one of the great LA landmarks.
Yeah, but I love.
talk about Hawkeye in a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. In a bit.
It's such
like
a- I
the
have-
color palette is amazing.
I have so many feels about this book.
It's
Yeah.
it's really, really great and exciting. Today dropping news. Did y'all see? I haven't had a chance to
Oh,
read
definitely
it.
not.
Today was crazy.
Yeah, no, I haven't read anything.
I've not seen anything.
But
I only found out that Shuri's getting her own comic today, and that dropped yesterday.
Yeah, no, I only like.
Oh my God.
I have no comic news beyond when I get off of Jeffrey Thorne's Twitter. That is my only access right now. It's the only thing I've checked in a week. So.
well, first of all, Shuri's getting her own comic, and Ned Okorafor is writing it.
Yes.
Binti and the Akatowicz Young Adult
Yes.
series, and
And Sam Spratt was the one that did the that.
Look at that! Look at
just
it!
shout,
Okay.
look at it from off screen.
Oh my
my
God.
God.
Did you have like that prep because you knew I was coming?
He's just
He's just so fast.
Yeah.
He's just so
that's
fast.
Excellent. I love that.
and I believe, if I read correctly, which this might also need double checking, that upcoming series is going to have art by Leonardo Romero, who is the artist of the Hawkeye
Yes,
book
you are.
we were just talking about.
Oh
It's
my
all
God.
connected.
And Kelly Thompson has a new book that we just found out, surprised, dropped digitally today.
Wow. What's
Kelly
what?
Thompson on Jessica Jones.
She's
Yeah, I-
Jessica Jones.
I
love
saw
this.
that.
I love this so much.
I saw-
That's so perfect.
It's
I'm
so
so
funny.
glad of that. Oh, I'm so glad.
Bendis says
that is
he'd
so
already
good.
picked her out before he was planning to leave the company. He already knew that's who he wanted Jessica to go to.
That's perfect.
And it's really
That is
sweet.
so
Oh, what?
perfect.
I have the cover right here. I'm pulling the cover up right now.
So they're doing a really interesting release strategy with this one. It is going to be 3 huge digital chunks and then a paper graphic novel.
Oh, okay.
So there's no paper singles for this. And
Okay.
each issue is like oversized, basically double-sized by
Wow.
modern standards.
Look at that beautiful cover. I
But
saw this come through this morning. I was like, oh, that looks. I didn't even look at what it was. I was just like, oh, it's a new Jessica Jones.
Yep,
I'm gonna
it
pick
is
this up.
technically an ongoing, but it's in this crazy format where it's going to be 40 pages this month, 40 pages next month, 40 pages the month after that, which is basically 6 issues. Then a break while the paperback comes out, then another arc digital.
Can I be the jerk that says this is the future of comic
I mean, I
books?
think you're right.
This is how comic books in the future will be published.
I love these so much, but I have a feeling you're right.
This feels like the future to me.
I'll have to be honest. When I was younger, I was an issues, kind of a person. We'd be like, oh, let me get this and this. Oh, I'm missing one. Doesn't matter. That kind of a thing. But now I'll like go and I'll get like a full volume.
Yeah,
Get my 5 to 6 issues.
I buy singles to frame them, to get them signed and to frame them. That's why I buy singles. That's the only, I feel bad.
I give them as gifts.
Yeah, or stocking stuffers. When we have our Christmas episode, I'm going
Yeah.
to talk a lot about comic book stocking stuffers.
They're perfect. They're perfect for that.
And
Yeah.
there's something about browsability and flip through ability for single issues that it's a digital comic is so easy to jump into, but it's also easy to backburner in a way that you're just sitting in a room and you're like,
Boy, you are handing
this
that is like the symbol of my problem right there. But I think it's going to become like vinyl records. I think it's going to be a thing where single issues are going to be like vinyl. It's going to be a thing that there's for collectors. They're going to be really nice. They're not going to have ads anymore. It's just going to be this thing that you do as kind of a prestige. I think it's going to be a prestige thing you do for a book as opposed to a direct market.
Or we'll get more into anthologies, but this is
Oh, I'd love to see Marvel do the manga style and just do a monthly, like a weekly book of 10 comics in a big chunk.
Very cool.
it's
That kind of reminds me of
curiosity that we didn't go that way.
was it Action Comics 1000? Yeah. Oh, that had me. I wasn't even a Superman person. It took forever for me to even get on board. But when I read
made you
that,
one, didn't it?
I was
It
like,
made you
oh
one.
my God, there's so much love in here.
Yes.
And it was just so well done. And now I'm kind of a little bit of a Superman person.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, but I so wasn't. And now I'm really looking forward to Man of Steel 2 from a different point of view with it. So.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's like Superman when done
Yeah,
right.
there was
it's very-
so much
it's-
love in it.
It's just I wish you were my dad. God, why can't you be my dad? Oh. Yeah, no, that's Superman at his best.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
So
really like
they'll
that
have to
issue.
figure out what
Yeah, it's
category
so good.
all this stuff goes in next year, I guess.
Yeah.
Whether Action 1000 is
A
an
digital-
anthology or a single issue, or
Yeah.
Digital anthology
Right.
whether
release.
Jessica Jones is a best new series or an original graphic album. These
I
are the
know,
problems of tomorrow.
or if Get Out's a comedy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, it's a similar problem that the Oscars or other similar things have. Is like what even constitutes an animated film anymore?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's
What's
all
a theatrical release?
it's all very iffy.
Just give Black Panther all the Oscars.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah. I'd say, at least a Best Supporting and Costume Design.
Costume
I mean,
design
if
at
it
the very
doesn't get
least.
costume,
Costume
I'm
design.
gonna
Ruthie
be
Carter,
mad.
come
didn't
on.
make
She's
you
already
watch
been
the Oscars,
nominated
didn't you?
twice. I know I'm going to have to watch the
Ew.
Oscars for this.
Ew,
I mean, what Amistad and Malcolm X, she got, nominated for, and it's like,
I mean,
she needs to be nominated for
like
this.
that, and you're like, nah, I'm gonna keep going. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not resting on those considerable laurels.
I don't even know where to begin. I have so much stuff here.
Yeah,
Two-
Eisner.
There
It's
are
so deep.
two titles that got
So much good stuff in here. So good.
5 nominations each, I think. Let's see if I'm counting this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So 2 things got 5 nominations each. They topped out this year's nominees. One, and we've discussed it a bit on the show before, but my favorite thing is Monsters.
No matter where I go with there's a bunch of comic nerds there, this comes up, and people love it. I have not, but I hear it is so have you ever read House of Blue Leaves?
I've only flipped through this on the
I
show.
haven't read it yet.
Yeah, but people likened it to that, where it's just it's so in depth, things in the margins, and it's you have to read and then go back. And I'm so, yeah.
And there's something about, and I know we've talked about this before, but the use of actual lined traditional
if you
paper.
Could find an appropriate page, and that's a good one.
That's
if
a
you
very
wanna-
good one. All right,
An
that'll do.
appropriate page.
Yeah, there's a lot
Okay.
of.
That's like the Wicked and the Divine, an appropriate page.
But the use of the lined paper really makes this so. I don't want to say voyeuristic because that's not quite right, but there's something
there's
so
an
intimate.
intimacy because you're reading a teen girl's diary, but she draws herself as a werewolf, first of all, which is amazing, and there's a murder mystery that unfolds in this small apartment. It's sort of like an alt 60s period piece, kind of, but you'll meet her neighbor and her brother, and she's got this sort of burgeoning art history obsession where you've got throwback comic book art, and then it'll switch between very sketchy childlike drawings and these exquisitely reproduced famous paintings, and there's a lot of mythology and art theory and other stuff sort of going on in the background of this little girl kind of navigating her life. And it is all written and drawn by Emile Ferris, who apparently this is her first graphic novel, which just seems unfair.
It's a lot.
She invested.
Yeah, clearly.
That's...
I mean, she's probably had a long art career and in other fields because it's obvious this talent didn't just come out of nowhere. But
maybe she just didn't get her due before now.
Oh, it is such a. I mean, it is hypnotic. Yeah, this page really did it to
and
me.
it stands out because it's so brightly colored, where so much of the rest of the book is
It's in
intentionally
black and white, and then out of nowhere you just get this momentary burst of color.
It's nice.
Oh.
So this was one of those books that kind of came out of nowhere, set everybody on fire. This is the kind of thing that awards exist for, to be if you didn't notice this Fantagraphics release, if you didn't you run with a lot of comic book people, so you've been seeing it everywhere. But if people haven't, this is the kind of what is this? How many nominations? It is up for Best Graphic Album New, which basically is just a way of saying graphic novel.
Or best new graphic album.
Yeah.
It was,
And
this
it's-
is thicker than a novel. We shall call this an album.
I guess they might be borrowing that because that's the French term for sort of publishing something all at once. They tend to call things albums.
As opposed to as a novel is its own thing, and a novella is a third of a novel, and then.
Where's an omnibus fit in there?
Depends which company.
What?
Where's an omnibus fit?
I don't know.
And the other part of that category name that you'll notice is that they distinguish the new versus the reprint ones.
Yes.
The idea is because this didn't appear in chapters somewhere else, because this came in one chunk, it's graphic album new. It's one solid chunk of storytelling reproduced for the first time in this format. There'll be so many format questions. She's also up for Best Writer/Artist, a separate category for folks who are doing both jobs. Best Coloring, also her. Best Lettering, also her. And Best Publication Design, which was probably going to Fantagraphics on her behalf.
Fantagraphics does some wonderful work.
it was an interesting year because a lot of the coloring nominations actually went to folks sort of doing their own colors in other things, and that was like a mild controversy that attached to this year's nominations because there's a lot of excellent work in there, but there's a lot of fantastic working colorists who then weren't on that list, and it's just one of those, if you track year to year, like it's just an interesting quirk of this year's group of nominees.
And, if they're not careful, they're going to be like the Oscars, where it's like it's going to be like a Leonardo DiCaprio situation. It's like, how long? Or Denzel Washington be like, oh yeah, Malcolm X was cool. You went for Training Day.
Oh God, I know, that's so weird when that happens. There are a couple good questions have been coming through. Is there a way to watch the Eisners online, or is there any way to see it later, or is that not a thing?
That is a great question.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Wow.
I feel like the answer is either no or would have been on the Comic-Con HQ television, which was a thing for a while, which I don't know if it's still a thing.
What I don't know is like, I wish Matt were here because he might know if past years were available. So
He is
in
the person. We will tweet at Matt.
We will tweet at Matt.
Yeah.
I do not believe there is a place to watch this live. There may or may not be video taken, but it would be something very good to have for the archives.
That was a good good question that I just
Yeah, no, that's
plucked,
a great question.
plucked from chat.
You will be able to, I will often, depending on battery and internet, I will often be tweeting it, and I know that a couple of news outlets, I believe Fanbase Press is going to be live tweeting. So if you want to just follow somebody's updates during the ceremony, there will be some comics journalists having you covered. And also me, which is mostly just me going, oh my God, Sergio's so cute! Because he's delightful. He's the artist from Mad Magazine. If anybody doesn't know, Sergio Aragonés he's
Google.
yeah,
Google
a
it.
giant mustache and a bigger heart.
Which brings us back to a life in comics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Mad Magazine. Well, she started with Mad Magazine and then Archie.
Oh God, I have to
and
read
then at
this
the
book.
end, there's like a Mad Magazine.
He does a
style.
fold-in for
yeah,
the
he
final,
does a fold-in.
and it's like weirdly moving. Like
It was great.
It's
I could never do Mad or Cracked as a kid. Well, I was like, I'm sure it's something, and I just looked to the next page.
The fold-ins,
wouldn't
were weirdly difficult to do. Like it took you a while to figure them out.
I was just like, oh, cool, this is a cool drawing. I'm sure that goes. All right, next. I was that kid.
I would try to very carefully, like
Not
if it wasn't
crease
my
it.
copy, I would try not to crease it, but I had to know.
It was a thing.
So the other big vote getter this year, nominated for the third year in a row,
Oh, boy.
and a past Hugo winner, but not yet taking home any Eisners, Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda's Monstrous. So it's like a
we got two
monster theme.
versions.
So
Yeah.
I feel it's worth mentioning. I feel that this is what I would consider to be a classic on my list, which is a classic is something that I'm supposed to have read but have not read yet. So
Yeah.
It's waiting for you. It's waiting for
yeah,
all of us.
It's waiting for everyone. It's wow.
It is
It's
a dark
gorgeous.
fantasy in an original universe devised by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. It is now, I think, about 18 issues in. So whichever portion of those came out in 2017 are technically what's nominated.
I've had it on my list forever and this is very rare. I had it on my list specifically for the art because I'm not a person
Yeah.
who buys comic books for the
Okay,
art
this
almost
is
ever. And
this doesn't give anything away. This
No, and it's
is, you can see the
yeah well
art with that one.
it's
yeah.
got
Yeah.
it's this very specific style that I really enjoy where you can see the places where it's getting its roots in Japanese pop culture, a little bit of roots in Western, and then in Western pop culture, and then this great painted, vibrant effect that the whole book has. It's just really enrapturing.
And I should have said it for my favorite thing is Monsters too, but both of these deal with mature themes, so you'll want to watch
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Monsters keeps
Yeah.
getting nominated for best publication for teens, and I keep having to remind myself that teens are way more grown up than I think they are because there is some mature theme material in this book, but teens can handle it. The teens are much more grown up than I give them credit for.
You are.
Like right here, this page.
Yep, right there. Look
right
at that.
there.
Oh yeah, no,
Wow.
that's a lot.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
Yep,
That happened.
That looks painful.
Yes.
So it is nominated for Best Publication for Teens. Marjorie Liu is nominated for Best Writer. Sana Takeda is nominated for both Best Painter and Best Cover Artist. She does her own covers for that book. And it's also nominated for one of what you might think of as like the core categories, Best Continuing Series. which is sort of it's as if, imagine if at the like TV awards they split up first year series from the ongoing ones so that The Sopranos didn't just eat everything every year. They split
What a
these
wonderful world that would
up because Saga is in every year. But they, I don't know. Did it
Except
make
this year.
Yeah,
Not
this
this
is like
year.
the first.
Yeah.
be. We're walking away from Saga for a year.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I kind of fell off from reading it myself, so maybe
I'm
that's
always a
what
graphic
happened.
novel behind her, too. I'm always a
Yeah.
little behind. I'm behind on everything,
Like I
except
know
for Wicked and Divine.
Wicked and the Divine is on there. I'm behind. The last
I am
one
not behind on Wicked and Divine, let me tell you. Not even a little.
The last one I read was the Christmas annual.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa.
That was a lot. That was a lot right there. That was a lot. That's what I'm
They
going to say.
went all the places.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
They
this
went
is
all
whoa.
the places.
Yeah.
It was like 2013 was a busy year.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't
Right,
miss that Christmas.
No, it was spectacular. I'm also I will also say I've been properly bribed for Wicked and Divine, so I can't. I will never get over that they let me put a blurb on the back of a graphic novel. I'm still fucking lose my shit over that.
So basically, if
It's
it wins, we should assume it was your blurb.
It was my blurb.
It was
that
yours
pushed
that
really-
did it.
into the arms of the people who would then appreciate and vote for it.
And I'm glad I waited. I was like ready to I'm glad I have not done any cosplay from this yet either. I had a moment where I was like, I'm going to do some Odin cosplay, and then we got far enough, and I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't dress up as a terrible character.
Because
a
at the time,
terrible
it
character.
seemed like a good idea.
I was like, he just seems kind of bad, but maybe he's got nope. Okay, never mind. That's just awful.
No, we won't spoil.
No spoilers.
But
No spoilers.
But let's
But God.
It's well worth the read. You should read this. It's very mature. Very mature.
It's one of my favorite
Very
comic
mature.
books being published today.
Yes,
It's
hands down.
so
but
high
the
up
themes.
there.
You have like a Prince character. Oh, Prince.
Starfish and coffee. Stop. No, I can't sing. That's right. That rules.
well, we're actually 2 out of 5 in. So shall we pivot to one of the words that I love to pay attention to in terms of what might you want to put on your bookshelf or pull list is best continuing series.
Let's talk about the best
Yes.
continuing series.
Do that.
One of them, of course, is Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda from Image Comics. One of them is The Wicked and the Divine by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey.
Also from Image Comics. And we've
Well
definitely
deserved.
talked about it. It's a great book if you're a fan of music. It's a great book if you're a fan of pop culture. It's dark. It's
If you're a mythology
edgy.
nerd of
If you've
Anytime.
ever wanted to just like skyrocket into the spotlight and not realize the consequences
Oh,
of the skyrocketing,
so
this
much.
is so perfect.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, because I think we get into that thing where we'll compare our lives to people that we see, like influencers or like people that are, on television. And it's like you actually have this culture set up where these people become gods, but it's not a good thing necessarily. There are consequences with that instant fandom. I'm sorry, that instant famedom. I'll say that instant
Famedom.
famedom, just like it is in real life, but take it up a notch.
Yeah, just turn everything up to 11. It is one of my favorite books. This creative team, you've heard us talk about them in the past. They work with colors, Matt Wilson, and I think Clayton
And
Charles
some
is the letterer.
beautiful color work in it as well. There's especially like was it the Bacchus Rave or the is just a spectacular piece of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like different themes
Dionysus
with
Rave, excuse me.
identities. I was like identity.
Identity.
It's like I-nana.
They literally had a graphic novel called Fandemonium where they actually go to a convention and like, oh, it's so good. It's
So,
I really feel like there's a D&D Dionysus pun in here somewhere. And it might be that it's your alternate identity, Tal.
the party that walks like a man. It's such a good. That's actually one I have on my wall is the Dionysus cover. So
Oh.
it's so good. It's so good.
And they've had a number of guest artists contribute for specific
Beautifully.
flashback and fill-in issues, but they tie them into the narrative really beautifully. They select them really carefully, and the main storyline is very consistent. It's always Gillen and McKelvey. So that's 2 out of 5. How will we choose between these and one of last year's? Did it win last year, or was it? I should check the awards.
I don't remember what one.
Oh,
last
I don't
year.
know.
You might remember from last year's rundown episode, Black Hammer.
Yep.
From Dark Horse Comics by Jeff Lemire, Dean Ormston, and David Rubin. So I feel like Jeff Lemire won something last year. Black Hammer is an incredible story of sort of a bunch of misfit formers
super science heroes. It's got a very American Gothic vibe. It's dark. It's oppressive. I really like it. It makes there's an aura of foreboding that is very well built into this book. It's a lot of fun to read. I haven't gotten past volume 1 yet. I've gotten a little past volume 1, but it's every time I think I've seen The Last Word on like a retake on the classic the classic superhero genre, someone comes along and finds something new to say. And it's,
Oh, and it is last year's winner for Best New Series.
God.
No, thank you, Chief. Chief had my back.
Here's a great page to sort of give you the vibe.
I love that it's trying to clear things up. It's like new series, no, continuing series.
Yeah.
So it was the winner for Best New last year, and it is the nominated for Best Ongoing this year. Funny story about last year's noms in Best Publication for Kids, which I hadn't read it at the time, but Ghosts by Raina Telgemeier was last year. So.
Oh, really? Well, now
it's
my favorite of hers that I've read so far too. I had one of our younger friends over, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've read Ghosts."
They're like, obviously, Raina.
I can't impress anyone anymore.
Because she's a massive superstar. And kids know. The rest of us.
All the kids know.
So that's 3 out of 5 for Best Continuing Series. And now, like, everyone in this category is my favorite. How are we supposed to do this? Because Giant Days by John Allison with artists Max Seren and Liz Fleming from Boombox is nominated for Best Ongoing. I'm using ongoing and continuing interchangeably because that's how I think about it, but it's probably called Best Continuing. Who wants to talk about Giant Days?
I mean, we can all talk. It's 3 girls in college, and they're all kind of interesting characters, and sort of the weird drama that surrounds them, and some and their interactions with some new people who come to school.
And John Allison is a British cartoonist who's been writing and drawing his own interconnected comics for something like almost 20 years now on the internet. We have a close-up of some Giant Days here. He has one of the most distinctive comedic and world-painting voices that you'll ever run across.
I'll turn down the brightness.
It's so hard to describe because you know John Allison when you're reading it, and nothing else is like it, and it's like a delicious flavor. I don't know.
He captures. I feel like the slice of life and kind of that helped a little. I love this is the goth.
There we go. That close.
Yeah, no, the close-up.
Yeah.
I love the goth girl. She's
a disaster.
She is such a disaster, and
so human.
The personalities are so big and fill the book so well, and it's and the art is so expressive. I'm trying to think of how to pitch the series without like giving anything away. I mean, because
you just have to try it. You just have to read some John Allison. It's impossible to describe. I have tried. I wrote an article for Geek and Sorting when the series was first out, just trying to attempt to describe what made Giant Days so great, and I believe I failed.
It's got a very like television tempo. Like part of it is the tempo of the storytelling has like a real speed to it. I burned through it really quickly, even though there's a lot of text and there's a lot going on, and
It's got a great relatability factor to it. I love how it just it's like, yeah, that's college life. It's like, yeah, I've been there many a time. And be like, oh, I
legally drink younger.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've never been there, but I get it.
Oh, God, yeah, it is, and it's just a wonderful slice of life book. There's nothing that I read this week that was bad. Everything I read this week was really good. I have nothing even vaguely negative to say about anything I read.
I'm very excited to see Giant Days getting honored because it is one of those things that I just think of as like, I love that in my corner by myself. And it's like, oh no, me and a bunch of people are aware that Giant Days is like a wonderful, and it's just like, there's so much joy in the specificity of it. Like it is relatable. Anyone can, but these characters in their exact scenario, they're painted so precisely, and the relationships to each other are so clear. It's like a little corner of the universe you just want to go back to and visit and see how everyone's getting on, and it's hilarious. So So yeah, Giant Days.
Mm-hmm.
And one more in Best Continuing Series.
Oh.
Who wants to talk about Hawkeye?
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
We kind of did, but
I mean, like, let's really. I mean, like, we can talk about Hawkeye.
I mean, I like what Kelly Thompson does with Kate Bishop. I mean, I love the
Oh, we can. For those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
who's Kate Bishop?
Who was Kate Bishop?
Kate Bishop.
Hawkeye. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's
Go ahead.
Short answer
Go
is
ahead.
Hawkeye.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I did that to you. Love you.
No, I like the interplay between them. Be like, hey, so I'm going to shoot this off here, Hawkeye. Good thing, Hawkeye, between Clint and Kate.
So a lot of people who are Marvel Universe knowledgeable but not Marvel comic knowledgeable don't know there are two Hawkeyes.
There are.
There's Hawkeye and Hawkeye.
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 For some time now, they have coexisted. They've existed alongside each other because, as comics tend to go, you get a lot of legacy heroes, people taking up the mantle or the name of another hero. And over time, as the heroes die and undie, turn out to be Skrulls and come back from space, and all of these things that sort of go on in the life of a superhero character. In one of the rounds where the Avengers went missing, there was a wonderful book that we love a lot called Young Avengers by Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung that introduced a bunch of kids who took inspiration, or in some cases names, from the, at that point, sort of missing in action or out of commission classic Avengers. And one of them was Kate Bishop, who at the time we meet her, is just basically like...
She's a debutante.
Yeah.
She's an effing debutante.
Strong debutante without any superpowers who just decides to be a superhero because she's gonna.
Because she sees a bunch of other kids with powers doing it and decides they're kind of terrible at this. I don't even have any superpowers and I can do this better. And she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Now, she was one of the Young Avengers.
She's Hawkeye.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Picture.
Oh, perfect.
She's reading Pizzazz. I'm so excited.
She bummed around the Marvel Universe for a little bit as the book existed. Yeah, Billy and Teddy.
Oh, Billy and Teddy.
Yeah.
She won a lot of people's hearts as a supporting and then co-lead character in the 12
Sure.
to 2015 Hawkeye series that nominally starred Clint Barton and was written by Matt Fraction with artists Dave Aja and Annie Wu and a few other contributors.
And the chemistry between these two characters was really great. I mean, Kate Bishop was already a fan favorite, and Clint is already a fan favorite as Hawkeye. Like, they're great characters, and together they're really, really fun. And then at some point, they just kind of...
And past Eisner winners, by the way. I think,
Yes.
Hawkeye 11 won Best Single Issue one year, the Pizza Dog issue. The series was nominated several times, I believe. And a whole new audience fell in love with Kate Bishop, who is sort of like kind of the worst but kind of the best, because Clint is kind of a trash fire but kind of the best. And they played off of each other in a really beautiful, sort of mentor-y, sort of get your shit together-y, happily non-romantic way.
Yeah, in a wonderfully non-romantic way.
Yes, that was the important part.
They dealt with that pretty well and pretty quickly. And then at some point, she realized that he is really awful and went and moved to California and kind of took the name, took the dog, and moved to Venice Beach, like you do. I'm so happy that there is a good comic book that very much takes place in Los Angeles. LA is a really... I should pause right now to remind you that you should put a topic for our 5-minute topic in the comments, and because we'll do our 5-minute topic at the end of the show. But it's hard to even think about that because Hawkeye.
Yay!
Even the West Coast Avengers never really felt like an LA book to me. Like it felt like somebody, like a New Yorker's idea. It's a New Yorker's idea, I know, of LA, whereas Hawkeye is an LA book. You read it and like you feel the city really, really well.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're totally on the mark with that.
It's like I know those kids who hang out in Venice Beach and live in a van down in Venice
there's
Beach.
a certain demeanor that's done, and it's
And it's got a
And when
bit
your
of
plot depends on an outdoor film revival sing-along thing, I was just like, is this normal everywhere? Because this is definitely LA.
no, and it's it's the first like teenage attempt at Chandler that I've actually seen work, where it's like it's got that detective.
Explain that for the audience.
Oh boy, I just got weird, didn't I? Okay. it's got all the fun of like heavy detective noir
Like Raymond Chandler.
like Raymond Chandler, but it's kind of dialed back some of the darkness and some of the heaviness and some of the, oh God, I want to be able to feel good tomorrow. You don't feel good after a Chandler book. It's kind of
a bleakness to it.
there's a bleakness, yeah, that's really hard to get around. Whereas this, I feel like this book really battled the bleakness very well.
So this one, despite being nominated for Best Continuing Series, has in fact ended at the time that we are doing this show.
That beautiful cover we showed.
But the
which is well worth a read for this one. I mean, I like villains, and I like Madame Mask.
Madame Mask is
So
a great villain.
I love that. Where it's just like, how do you even? I don't know her origins. Like, how do you
She's an Iron Man
discover she's an Iron Man villain? Okay, it's like, how do you discover that you can bring people from the past if you have some of their blood? It's like, how do you discover that? In what way? How does that come up? So I need to like backtrack with her and see where her origins.
Yeah,
like
that's a great.
She shagged Tony Stark, didn't she?
who hasn't?
Certainly.
God, okay, yeah, she's making sure. At a moment.
So Hawkeye's, the creative team on that was Kelly Thompson, artist Leonardo Romero, who you of the upcoming Shuri, and Mike Walsh.
Look at that.
Now, definitely be sad about Hawkeye ending, but don't be
Aardvark's right
sad
there.
because
I love, like, just
show that cover.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I'm loving-
the
I'm loving
personality.
this
the
cover, it's
personality right here.
It's a noir cover. It's also it's showing off one of the best costumes. I love this weird ass costume.
yeah, and totally noir. This is magnifying glass.
And and then it's also a recognizable street in Venice. Like that is a place where locals go. And
There's a category of Eisner's for best cover artists.
I
as
would
we mentioned,
cosplay as this, and I don't think anybody would know.
I
No,
would
they
know.
know.
I would
Do
know.
it. Oh,
I would know.
Please do it.
You
would
would know.
I would know immediately.
Everybody else would be like, "Are you Eartha Kitt?"
No, they'd be like,
because purple suit, cat suit.
It,
yeah.
she, no, she's.
We get the
I love Eartha Kitt.
You know, with the
purple catsuit is
yeah.
now gone over here. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So there's
But that's cool.
Julian Totino Tedesco is nominated for best covers for his Hawkeye covers specifically, which were just, I mean,
Oh God, everyone.
the cover category is also completely stacked with amazing artists, but like Sana Takeda from Monstrous. I don't know how you make these decisions, but I certainly would not be mad if Tedesco takes it home because these covers were incredible.
God,
And Kelly Thompson is writing a Kate-centric West Coast Avengers book, which is coming out this
Cannot
fall.
wait for. Cannot wait for.
A delicious balm in the wound of not having the Hawkeye solo series going anymore is that she's just basically going to keep going.
I like. I'm going to fall in the camp that I'm actually a fan of limited runs. I like things having an ending, and then just instead of just pushing us to Hawkeye 137, we stop, and now we get a team book for a while, and then maybe we'll get a new Hawkeye book after that. We can just kind of. I think it breaks up some of what can become. I think you can get bad stories if you just have to keep slogging through every issue and every issue. I don't know. That's my
see
that's
that.
my 2 cents.
Kind of like the one shots, like Hellboy, Krampus knock.
Hey, look at you with the effortless segue.
Wow.
To the best single issue / one shot category, where there's the nomination for Hellboy Krampusnacht by Mike Mignola and Adam Hughes.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed that a lot. I wish the ending was a little bit like for the escalating action. I just wanted something else to happen, but I kind of loved how it ended because it was so Hellboy. It just, I'm not going to give it away. It's a one shot. You really should just go ahead and read it. But if you saw Krampus, I think you'd like it. I just really enjoyed the viewpoint of like, let's see the viewpoint of the monster and that this monster is actually trapped and doing what it's put on this earth to do. So I kind of like that. I wish that there had been a little bit more into the motivations of why this monster had to do that to the children, but it's a one shot. You can't, that's going into 2 issues.
You run out of time. You run out of space.
Yeah.
So
But fun stuff.
it's an interesting, of the 5 nominees for best single issue or one shot, 2 of them, and this was you all, I feel like I said this on the show and got very excited, but 2 of them I happen to know because they were in previous short boxes. The subscription comic service that I love very, very much. It's Subscription comic service is the wrong word because you can't subscribe. You just have to keep buying them.
The box of the now.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way. Thank you for getting me hooked on that. That's,
Well, and the new one is up. I haven't ordered mine, but number 9
shit.
is now
Okay,
available
I gotta-
for order. Zainab Akhtar in somewhere in the UK. She is and just has some kind of magic eye for comics, where she keeps finding small stories and artists and interesting things that I would never have otherwise encountered, putting them in a little cardboard box and mailing it across the ocean to my house, where they delight me. They have gone on to win awards before. That's where I first read. Did you read Your Black Friend by, I think it's Ben Passmore?
I don't think I have.
I would be very curious. I loved it. Was a short story. It's been now expanded. I think they did like Silver Sprocket in San Francisco, picked up the story, expanded it into like a larger edition. But I read it for the first time because it was in my subscription box, in my short box, and it's just this one artist doing a sort of like a kind of a day in the life story of frustrations and like microaggressions but it's very funny and it's really well drawn.
Was it done by a person of color, like a black person?
I believe he's writing, like, it's not technically autobiographical, but he's writing his sort of like, here's how I feel and some feelings that I'm sharing with you.
Okay.
It's
the boxes. We gotta have you in for a box up. The boxes are so good. The boxes are so good.
I'll do it. It's comics.
Comics, man.
So 2 of those are up for nominations this year, for Best Single Issue One Shot, which is pretty extraordinary given that, like, I guess it just happens to be that the nominating committee is aware of these, thank God.
Maybe they get short box.
They might get for a box.
I'm guessing they do. And one of them is Barbara by Nicole Miles. I wish I had loaded in a picture, but it is a small contemplative story about a woman and a pet plant. And the other one is What Is Left by Rosemary Valero O'Connell, which I showed off on the January show and then forgot to bring in today.
Oh,
but it's that beautiful
yeah.
it's science fiction about
Love that.
memories. Again, just a short story, but like, I mean,
I was wondering where that was ringing.
Well, I
you
love
remember
the
it from
title.
Yes.
January. It's like, yeah.
I was staring at the list going, I think I've read that, but I cannot find it to save my life. And I was like, do I have it? And like, I was searching my home for this.
Oh, no.
I don't have it because I did not have that box. But.
And I think they have now, I'm not sure what the status is. I believe at the time, a few months ago, you couldn't get these separately because they just literally made them for the short box. I think now you can get them, at least What Is Left, on the website, or you can borrow mine and I'll bring it.
And I know there's a Batman story in there, and I don't need for a short story, I believe there's a single issue, or?
Not this year.
Okay, no,
I think
this is not the one. That's something else.
Last year, a Batman story.
I'm in the wrong category. I'm in the wrong category.
But an issue of Pope Hats by Ethan Riley, which I haven't read, but I need to, from Ad House Books, and The Spotted Stone by Rick Veitch from Sun Comics.
Yes.
So these are just fun, great ways to discover new artists and new stories that you might not otherwise know, and get some attention on these artists. Do we want, who has a pick for the next? We can fill out the rest of the short stories, or we can start doing some of the other big.
If you
Best
start,
limited
I was going to say, if you start naming things, I'll tell you what I read. Is what I'm coming down to.
Tell me about Best Limited Series.
Ooh.
What do we got? What do we got in the docket?
X-Men Grand Design.
Oh my God, X-Men Grand
Right?
Design.
Oh
my God,
God.
X-Men Grand Design.
God, it was
I
so.
I didn't know how to deal. I didn't know how to
Right?
deal. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay, let's.
Cartoonist Ed Piskor is one of my favorite people working.
I love this so
I'm
much.
trying to find like this is kind of, is this the perfect page? Like I'm trying to find the perfect page.
Because I like how they use the negative space that they use to then like be like it punches. It looks like it's 3D, like punching out of the page, but it's not. It's just like it's like a whole lot of nostalgia, and then it's like no, this is modern life.
There's a page.
So it is a sort of like condensed history of the X-Men.
A really well-built history of the X-Men.
Yeah, I mean Uatu's on his money.
Yeah, he does not mess
It is,
around.
Yeah.
done in a sort of deliberately throwbacky style with very specific color choices, as you can see.
And a bit of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Written and drawn by Ed Piskor and I don't know if this has come up on shows before, but I know his work because I really loved Hip Hop Family Tree, which I would happily admit was my introduction to many very famous concepts that I should have already known about. That's an example of taking a few decades of real life history and distilling them down into funny anecdote versions that give you a big picture. And he grew up, like he's an indie cartoonist. He doesn't mess with capes, he doesn't do any of this stuff, but he loves X-Men, like, to his blood. And it somehow talked Marvel into letting him definitively retell this history.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Let me turn up this is a little too, there we go. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you can tell there's so much love.
Oh my God.
You can tell there's so much love. Look at this.
It's so beautiful and so so rich and like.
And it's like the feel that you get when you just look at the first page. It's like you've gotten an old Luke Cage, or you're reading, I don't know, Thanos' Quest or something like that. It's like that feel, and then you realize, no, this is something that's made now.
My best analogy that I have is it's somebody doing a comic book version of Drunk History of the X-Men. it's very Drunk History of the X-Men. When like Xavier was like, no, dude, you gotta chill it out. Come on, man. But he was like, no.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and like his brother Kane is like, he totally wanted to kill him, and these are the ways, and like Xavier saw it in his head, man.
I was like, no way, man. And then they found a ruby, and you're like, whoa! and it's all, the amazing thing is it's all canonical, but oh my God, it's
like
the X-Men history is such a mess, and it's it's just all canonical, and they're doing. I mean, it doesn't even start at X-Men 1. It starts with...
No. It starts with Namor.
Xavier's parents and Namor and...
Yeah,
oh
like
my
he
God.
floods New York, and then it goes from there.
The flood of New York?
Yeah, the flood of New York.
Okay, let me find the flood of New York. And it's
like
all
that's
the Watcher...
where it starts.
There we are.
And like, and plus, like, okay, just from the first page, Uatu's got a bit of a salty attitude that I really liked. Like, dude comes up and he's like, hey, Eternity needs the transcript for, what we've been talking about. And Uatu's all like, I've learned from many millennia of experience that you cannot rush this. And like, here's what I can give you now.
There we are.
It's ready when it's ready.
Yeah.
So this is like a big untalked about piece of like mutant history. Was back during World War II. Namor tidal waved New York. This is like one of those.
I frequently forget that.
You forget that like this was like the original. You destroyed New York, and somehow we forgot this happened. was Namor being tricked into drowning New York before?
I did it with Wakanda too. But
Yeah, and they're like, we're gonna just sort of ignore that this is a thing that happened until it's convenient.
And then how it was taken care of.
Yeah, and like the way he handles the drowning of New York in here is like it's a much bigger deal, I think, in this book than it was in the actual comic book.
Because it like takes them 10 years after they managed to drain New York to then even get it back started again.
And look at this little collection of old fogies over here. There's the original Human Torch, and there's Angel, and what's the Flaming Skull name? Is it actually the Flame?
Is that Ghost Rider?
No, it's like the Flaming Skull, or
yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of I'm trying to remember the name of I think it's the
That's the Old Destroyer in back.
The Old Destroyer. I know I can't name all of them.
The blonde Phantom in front, right?
Yeah, the blonde Phantom, and then is it Scarlet Cowl? I want to say, or God, it's these are superheroes we don't know because they're so old. Cameos.
But Ed Piscor went full nerd with it. It was very delightful a few years ago.
Oh my God. Oh.
You got to share with the
Oh
audience.
man, I'm sorry. So they're doing like random mutants in history, and they have this weird little World War II Captain America Wolverine pair up, and like Captain America loses control of his shield while trying to save a kid from a mob.
Well, actually, it seems like he's going to just let it happen because him and Wolverine can't, they can't bust out of cover because of the greater good or whatnot. But that choice is taken away from him.
By the powers of a strange kid being harassed by a mob who is a young Magneto.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, and then later on you have Magnus escaping with Magda. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and it's just like this weird little, it's just such a wonderful, weird little moment.
Yeah.
The book is so. I love this book.
About
This book is
yeah, it's
amazing.
good.
One of my favorite Eisner moments was a couple years ago watching Ed Piskor. He won for best reality-based work for one of the volumes of Hip Hop Family Tree, and he went up and he had the bucket fisherman hat and like a T-shirt, and he was just like, if I thought I was gonna win, I wouldn't have worn like Fruit of the Loom or Hanes or whatever he said. But it was very charming because he was just sort of like rolling up to get his award, and you know what he was. It's a con. People are walking around in clothes.
It's one of the few
some
things
people
everybody
get
has in
very-
common right there.
Like, yeah.
You're walking around in clothes.
Some people get very fancy for the Eisners, and it's really fun. And some people roll up in their bucket hats because they're indie cartoonists.
Because
and that's how they
they'll
roll.
let you in if you got a badge
And pants.
and pants.
Well, I guess you could do underwear on top of tights. You could.
I mean,
you
to
could-
be
it
fair,
depends.
that is a common look.
Yeah.
I am
The underwear are back.
I am ready. I will say I am ready for a return to underoos. Underoos. That was my story on the internet where they like on brand things as a child was my underoo story. So.
Ooh, I missed
Which you should tell for anyone who might not have seen it on Twitter.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should all
good
tell
segue.
ours.
I know. I'm into that really quick.
Yeah. Let's do that real quick.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
I was a costume nerd as a kid. I loved costumes, and it was very hard to get me to leave the house not wearing a costume. Like I was really. So at one point, when underoos happened, it was like my parents were like, "Oh, thank God, we can like get you out of the house now because it's underwear that is also a costume." So one time taken to the park, I was wearing my Superman underoos, and they put me in proper clothes afterwards. And apparently my mother was approached by one of the other parents, going, "Your little Clark is just so adorable."
Did you have your underpants hanging out?
No, I just like when they asked what's your name, and I was like, oh, I'm in disguise, so I'm Clark, because that's what Superman. It was like, what's?
There you go.
They were like, oh yeah, you're still Superman, but you're in disguise. I'm like, fine, I'm Clark Kent, Mile Man reporter for the Daily Planet.
I love that.
Okay, what's yours?
Excellent.
Yes.
Oh, huge nerd for comic books, like from way back when. Didn't really matter the comic book. I would, like read it. I was a military kid, so there was a limited selection of stuff that I could have at that time. So I would just have everything. So I would always have a comic book in my hand, and I loved taking baths as a kid. So I, of course, would do like a stack of comics.
Oh no.
Fell asleep in the bathtub. Comics slid into the bathtub.
Yeah.
Stained myself partially blue. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I soaked in it. I was asleep.
You bathed in comics.
I bathed in comics.
Absorbed the comic books.
And
in your skin.
it was blue everywhere. Mom was trying to do like alcohol to like get on. Like, no, these are my mutant powers manifesting.
Oh.
Yes.
Did you get mutant power? Well, apparently you did get mutant powers. From
Yes,
it, so.
I got speed memorization.
Yes.
That's so
That's
great.
amazing. I guess I didn't end. I loved seeing that go around. I didn't come up with them, but I do have actually like a less exciting, but like a very, I guess, on-brand story of like thinking I was sneaky as a kid, where like I would. Whatever else I was supposed to be doing, I would want to sneak away and read. And like the things that I thought I could get away with, like I think it was, the way I remember it, I was in the middle of dinner or something, and I excused myself to the bathroom, and I was gone for like a while.
Yeah.
And when I came back out, they were like, were you in there reading? And I was like, no, of course not. But I was wearing shorts, and I had a huge hardcover crease on one leg. Because I just was sitting there reading in the bathroom thinking I was totally getting away with this. And my mom was like, so what's that? What's that about? And then, yeah, I was not getting away with it.
Oh my God.
Love that.
Yeah.
I had to sneak away to read.
It's not like they objected to me reading, but I think when it was like supposed to be eating dinner, and I was just like, be right back.
My God, I used to take books everywhere, like to parties. It's like, who takes a book to parties? I would do that just in case.
Yeah. In case of a book
shade.
emergency.
Such good shade.
I had books in my dance bag. Like, I was just like, if mom's late picking me up, I'm
Like,
ready.
hey, I'm gonna get a couple of chapters.
It smells sweaty, but it's fine.
Get an issue or two in.
That's wonderful.
I have to make you a book bag satchel so your books always smell fresh.
So this is a funny nomination, X-Men Grand Design, because it is coming out like
Thank you.
still slowly over
Kinda,
time.
yeah.
It's coming out in 2-issue bursts. I think only one of which technically came out last year. But the limited series doesn't have to be limited to the year of nomination. It's just that it was great, and it is designed to be a limited series, and it started coming out probably in like December of 2017. So here it is on this year's ballot.
Now the graphic novel is just the first 2 issues, but they're like they're calling it a treasury edition.
Yeah, they did a nice big oversized treasury edition. Means sort of wider and taller.
Beautiful.
In the vein of a lot of like 70s stuff. There's supposed to be 2 more of those. I think ultimately there will be 6. He's going to finish
So for
out
the
Claremont years.
Eisners of next year,
It's like if
that's limited again.
Yeah, I don't know what they do if your limited series lasts over 2 years. Do you get nominated for continuing?
Probably
or
can't win again. It'd probably be like PUBG with like the Game Awards of like last year, where it's like they got nominated for best game. Even though it wasn't
They hadn't
technically
technically released, but
exactly,
everyone
it
was
wasn't
playing it,
but
like-
yeah, and then it was nominated. Obviously, it didn't win. I mean,
Sure,
obviously, Breath of
but-
the Wild, but still, it's like they can't get nominated again
you
for
can't be
it.
new 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So that's one of the nominees for Best Limited Series. And let's see. So next up, which was also one of the top nomination getters, was Mr. Miracle by
Yeah.
Tom King and Mitch Gerads from DC Comics.
So, interesting thing, I have not finished Mr. Miracle yet because it's one of those books I only like to read when I am definitely in a very particular mood. It is so good, though.
And it also has not ended.
It has not
It's
ended,
on issue like
technically.
10 or 11, I think. Maybe 9 of a projected
gonna pull
12. Yeah, if you got a cover, I think
I mean, like, it's...
Oh, show that one. Show that
Yeah.
one. Mr. Miracle is an old Jack Kirby character who is being sort of re-examined in a very well-received miniseries at DC right now by writer Tom King.
Who did the amazing work on Vision a couple of years ago.
And I believe took home a couple of Eisners for that before he got snagged over to the DC side and is being kept very busy over there.
Batman.
I think, did I pull?
I forgot about
Whoa.
this. Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
it's occasionally it's a very sexy book.
Here we go. Here's a page of,
Oh, you've got one.
I wanted to show off an interior page from Mr. Miracle.
Good page to pick.
This is him and his wife, Big Barda, one of the all-time great comic book characters.
Yeah, looking forward to see what Ava does with her.
Yeah.
Mr. Miracle is kind of a
And it's Jack Kirby's signature on the cement there. And it says, "Kid, comics will break your heart."
It's a character based off of who came out of the New Gods, Jack Kirby's New Gods for DC, which are a very interesting kind of like the sort of pop a hallucinogenic vibe you can only get from 1960s comics. Mr. Miracle himself is kind of almost I always found him as kind of a response to Darkseid, depending on how you want to pronounce that. I like Seed, but I know everyone thinks I'm nuts. And it's always this character about evolving and about life and about this character, and this iteration of it also seems to be covering a lot of those same themes of breaking out of cycles, out of depression, out of the monotony of life, and the sort of how life itself. There's the last time that this character was really delved into was by Grant Morrison, with the whole notion of the life trap, of kind of this idea of can you escape your life itself is kind of this strange thing designed to swallow you whole.
And a content warning: Mr. Miracle
Yes.
is famously an escape artist. His name is Scott Free, and he's like a traditional performing magician escape artist, which is really fun. Like Bart is the strong like warrior, and he's the like get out of traps guy. But the new book, sort of deals with a suicide attempt. And sort of this, like, the guy who can get out of anything except his own life, or like he can escape even death, whether he means to or not. This is the territory that they're covering in this book, which has been really, really interesting and striking.
It's a very, it's a very meditative book. I highly recommend it especially if you're in the mood for something that's going to challenge you. If you're a fan of like the Legion comic book, Legion television series, this is a really great place to go for the Legion comic series.
Very
It's
nice recommend.
it's psychedelic, it's intense, and it's also one of the best married couples in comic books, I think.
Scott and Barda.
Scott and Barda are like,
They're on the same page in that way that it's like, yeah, I could do this.
there's very even fictional relationships from like, I could be into that. That seems like a good dynamic, and they're adorable and great. I love that he has his own comic book in the background. He's like his own.
It's the actual old.
I love the
issue of one of his
outfit.
books. Yeah. Oh, it's one of the great comic book costumes.
So good.
Oh.
So that's nominated for Best Limited Series, along with. Mr. Miracle has 3 nominations: Best Limited Series, Best Penciler Inker, and Best Coloring for Mitch Gerads, who's doing both colors and pencil inks. So that's up there. There's another DC comic, technically speaking. It's a DC Hanna-Barbera joint.
Oh, boy.
Did anybody get a chance to read this? Because
I-
No, I don't think
I
that
did.
doesn't sound familiar.
Oh.
The Flintstones.
So.
What?
So.
Wait.
Mark
Okay.
Russell, Steve Pugh, Ricky Leonardi, and Scott
Oh
Hanna were nominated
my
for
God.
limited series, The Flintstones. Hold on, I have
Look
to cover
at
it.
Betty.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm gonna pull up the cover really quickly.
Okay.
Mark
Well, here,
Russell
I've
from
got
other
that.
satirical
Wow.
books. He's kind of this emerging as this crazy genius reinterpreter of pop culture to make it into commentaries on the modern day.
It's
but like
amazing. Like here's a
There we go.
big one on the cover. So I mean, there's everything you need to know about this iteration of the Flintstones is actually available on this cover. You can kind of, it's just.
I'm not sure that cover fully prepares you.
It really. The thing that fully prepares you for the cover is the angsty Pebbles
Okay.
reading, and she's reading, clutching to her chest, "Cannibalism, the Unknown Ideal." That prepares you for this book.
Man, I love her hairstyle.
I know,
It's a
they
high
nailed-
ponytail, but yet it's still goth going into her face.
If
There's-
you decide to use your Flintstones
Or, sorry,
miniseries
emo.
So she's so emo.
on the modern world, it's either going to go badly or really, really well.
It is a vicious commentary on modern life. It is the most vicious commentary on modern life that I was not ready for heavy social commentary in a Flintstones comic. I'm trying to
He
find.
had previously done Prez, which we talked about on a previous issue, and he has now gone on to do this incredible take on, which look out for this at next year's Eisners, I would say, his Snagglepuss comic.
Yeah.
Exit Stage Left, which is a commentary on anti-communist and anti-gay hysteria of the 50s through sort of fake Tennessee Williams-esque playwright Snagglepuss.
Wow.
Mark Russell, what is going on in your brain? Please come talk to us.
This is nuts, because seriously, the last time I really thought about the Flintstones was that movie where you have, who was it? It was like John Goodman.
Yeah, you're right.
That was
You're
and
right.
Holly Berry, and then Betty Rubble was, oh God, that actress.
I know. Yeah, but it's.
Yeah, was it Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah.
I don't remember that movie very well.
Wow.
Just at one point, they're seeing their first television, and literally Fred is so afraid of the television he tries to smash it with a rock before to sit down. And this is literally the news at this point. In other news, people everywhere are buying things they don't need. It's called crap, and it's taking Bedrock by storm. And it just cuts to a guy who says, "At first it felt a little weird, owning physical objects, but now I'm totally into it. I love my crap. Crap, what do they think of next?" And then it just cuts to them going to a grand opening of the Bedrock Mall.
I like that the TV's in black and white, because that is exactly how it should be.
And it's the running gag is Starbricks Coffee and the Bone Depot, where they're selling the Power Goat 3000, the ultimate in weed control.
Of
That he buys.
course.
He says, "What is it?" "It's the Power Goat 3000. It kills weeds." She says, "What's a weed?" I don't know how to answer that question.
Wait, what is this music? What is this music
Oh,
that's
the
going
music
on
is
here?
amazing. So Pebbles.
Gonna pump that rump. Gonna bump that rump.
Your
rump is a riddle that got me stumped. What?
Wow.
Pebbles at the music shop and this is a joke that pays off later so well. There's this group trying to start organized religion, and they don't know how to go about it, so they keep trying to start religion, and it keeps going really badly. And every attempt they have to start a religion just includes, oh God, they eventually find this pink elephant, and they start worshiping. What do they name him? They name him Peaches. Peaches the elephant, and it's It's the first church of animism, and they found Peaches the elephant.
His name is Peaches.
And it's now serving peaches.
now serving.
And so they keep changing, and then like eventually you get to it, and like of course Peaches saves, and then there's where is it? This is where it kills. What else has been the teaches of Peaches?
Oh my God.
You're just getting Dr. Seussian with it.
This book is so funny. Oh, it's so painful.
So there are 3 nominations for the Flintstones. It's nominated
worth
for
it.
Best Limited Series, Best Humor Publication, and Mark Russell is up for Best Writer.
It's really funny. The art is beautiful. It's such an interesting take on these characters.
Having that pink elephant just kind of gives me shades of Preacher.
Oh man.
With was it Humperdinck?
I
Yeah,
can't remember.
I think that's the character's name. Who's like the last descendant of Jesus. Humperdinck and its soul. There are a lot of inbreeding. You know what? I'm not even. Read Preacher.
Yep.
Read Preacher. It is so worth it.
Falcon Crest, the toothpaste. I mean, like, it's so deep. It's so deep. And the book is really kind of fantastic. I can't even. There's so much happening in the book. I was not prepared to enjoy this book so much. I am not a Flintstones fan.
So this was one I really loved. This next one is one I really love the art on. I've only read the beginning of.
Oh, Extremity.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Image,
That one.
Skybound,
Yeah.
Warren Johnson wrote and drew.
Holy crap. I forget. And if it's not on there.
He's the only one credited.
Oh,
so
thank
hopefully
God, because I didn't get to it, but it's
The rest-
gorgeous.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is
Shut up,
gorgeous. And then
please.
plus, like, okay, so like with this one, the whole thing that it starts, you have this, okay, everything's post-apocalyptic, and there's like post-apocalyptic, but it's like kind of techno-punk, like cyberpunk-ish, where it's like, yes, they have flying machines, flying ships, you know, and everything like that. And then there's always factions going up against each other. But there's also a type of, you know, culture, and like art can be cultivated. So you immediately start your story with, I forget her name,
Here, I'll pull something.
Lisa,
The artist.
no, the main character, the
Yeah.
one that's the drawer.
She's
Is her name
yeah,
Lisa,
yeah.
Lena, something?
Sorry, the in character.
Yeah, here,
The
you go ahead. You
character.
go ahead. Feel free. And
The character. Well, in any case, her brother Rolo and Thea.
Thea.
Is her name. She's a beautiful artist. A faction, you know, goes after her people, and in the first few pages,
This is me bracing myself 'cause I remember this.
she gets her arm chopped off by the other faction, her drawing arm. And she's right-handed. That's her dominant hand.
Oh.
And your story then takes place after that, where it's like she gets a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
A prosthetic?
A prosthetic, thank you. You know, put on, but she's
we lost you for a
continuously
bit.
trying to draw with her left hand. So you have that theme of, you know, being in this post-apocalyptic, you know, like war zone type of thing, where also art can be cultivated and is like a real thing, but so is vengeance and going after those that come after your people. So it's like this war-torn society, and there's also this whole other theme where, like, eventually when you get into the series more, where they start discovering like the history of
really
the
violent.
land that they're on, that it's more than just a couple of generations, that it is possible to get along with all of these other factions, and it's got all these themes to it. It really gets you in your feels. And then also they have no problem cutting off things of people. I mean, the title.
There's a lot of blood.
Yeah, they cut a lot of things off, and they kill a lot of people. But you also have one of the villain characters. Well, she's not really a villain. She's the lead of one of the other factions. No, she's a villain, but she doesn't think she's a villain. And you can kind of see why she doesn't think she's a villain. I forget
Shiloh?
her name. Is that her name?
Sheila?
Sheila?
Is it in the mask?
Well, at first you thought she was a man, and then it was like, no. Very, very woman, just like, kind of like Captain Phasma.
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
here.
have to.
A masked antagonist.
Yeah, yeah. It's like she's a woman in armor. It doesn't have to be like breastplate and stuff.
What?
Yeah. Oh, what? Because it doesn't make any sense to do that. It makes no sense.
That's a
And in this
beautiful mask.
society, yeah, they have it. I went on a lot about it. I really enjoy
No.
this. I really enjoy this.
And I believe
Extremity.
there is a volume 2 coming. So once again, definitions are fuzzy for limited and ongoing. But Extremity, you can definitely get volume 1 out there, which leaves one more nominee in Best Limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying it in a particularly leading manner because it's right here on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Black Panther World of Wakanda by
Yes.
Roxane Gay, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Aletha Martinez.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. When I was on here last, I kind of talked about
A little bit.
about World of Wakanda. It really goes into, okay, so you love the Dora Milaje. You love Black
doesn't?
Panther. Who doesn't love this gives you a starting story of oh god. It's Io and Anika. And this also deals with sexual identity also. That's a theme that's in this. It's just what I really enjoy about this is that it's kind of like it's a rite of passage to become a Dora Milaje. It's like this is completely normal. This is something that you grow up to do at a certain point. You're one of the best in your village. You get to go off to train to possibly become a Dora Milaje. It's a great honor. And then it's like what stories can be generated from that epic tribe of women? It's
No, it's court drama. I mean, like I was dying from it just because it's so much fun. They play it like a court drama. There's politics involved. There's personal grudges. There's romance. There's all these things interplaying.
spy theme.
And it's just
Espionage, definitely.
oh god, it's
And then action. Yeah,
and some action.
It's some action. And then there's a romance.
There's a little romance.
Romance. You get the origin of OTP. I mean, you see Midnight Angels, like where that's gonna begin and come from.
And they designed this one basically in concert with Ta-Nehisi Coates' ongoing run, but this is like sort of, I mean, and there haven't been a ton of opportunities to do like a spin-off with other stories in the Black Panther universe, in that section of the Marvel universe, which is why it was so cool that they made this and that it's getting awards attention.
Yeah, I mean, which is cool since they canceled it and stuff. Like that Shuri's getting her own comic, and we said that at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to that. But yeah, no,
Getting the new
I love that
season of
this
Avengers animated, which is all Black Panther all the time. So saw that.
So
fancy.
it was really cool to see this get honored. Those are Coates is obviously working a ton in comics right now, which is very exciting. But I hope that Roxane Gay will also be convinced to come do some more comic work.
Yeah.
And that's our. So do we have any favorites so far? I mean, they're all our favorites. in
Those
every
are all.
category.
That's a
Like, how do
strong
you even-
category.
I
Super strong.
I try not to pick favorite. I feel like if you get nominated, that's really what matters. Everything else is just pomp and circumstance. But like if you make it to that point, those are laurels. You should rest on them. That's some very solid laurels. Eisner nominee. I have a few things. I mean, like I still have things further down the list to talk about, but
we have one more of the sort of like best. Well, there's a million more categories, but this
This is only the first page of
really?
stuff.
it goes deep.
we need longer than 2 hours.
We do. We've covered best ongoing. We've covered best limited, and that leaves one of the other very exciting things of categories. I was trying to say fields, and that's not the right word at all. One of the most exciting categories to check out every year is Best New Series, because hopefully these will be ones that we'll see popping up for years to come. Past winners of this award include Saga. And 5 books are up for Best New Series this year, some of which turned out to be limited series because categories are complicated. So Black Bolt by Saladin Ahmed and Christian Ward from Marvel. I think I pulled the first cover of this. Let me check whether I did. This was a really, really interesting run. I have not finished this one, but it was...
Neither have I. I don't want to blame Inhumans, the television show.
No,
for
but
this.
something happened.
unrelated.
Something happened. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it was that, but
Yeah, it was just kind of my fire went out just a little bit, and then there were so many other comics that this one kind of this one kind of
Can't read it all. You
Yeah,
can't
that's-
read it
that's
all.
just the whole
Unless
thing.
you're Amy Dallen, you can't read it all.
Even I fail. There's so much on here I haven't read yet, but I didn't pull the cover like I thought I did. It is Christian Ward. You might recognize his art from the wonderful Matt Fraction Odyssey.
Here.
ODY-C. It's
Oh.
crazy psychedelic
I love
face art.
Fractions run of Hawkeye, though.
But Christian Ward has this wonderful sort of. It's a great pick for what could have been like. There are a million different ways you can go with a book like this. The basic plot is that Black Bolt, monarch of the Inhumans, finds himself in prison. And most of the first issue, you're just kind of in his head until he discovers that sort of things are not working the way he thinks they are. Because typically the challenge, with a character like this is that if he opens his mouth and talks, he will destroy everything around him. So he tries to surround himself with people he's telepathically connected to, like his wife Medusa, the queen of the Inhumans, and his wonderful dog, Lockjaw, because I just like excuses to talk about Lockjaw.
It's got to be. I'm looking forward to reading this. It's always been interesting dealing with a character who literally can't talk through most of the.
And they do find there are specific circumstances of this story that make that less of an
Sure.
issue. Look at this color palette.
I know,
Look
the
at
color
the
palette
colors.
is pretty gorgeous.
So he finds himself in prison, and it's
like complementary colors that are going on there. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Scout
look at that.
there.
Look at a little bit of.
Saladin Ahmed is
Marvel
both
casting.
like a long-time huge Marvel fan and someone who comes at it with a really unusual perspective. He is well-known. He's a personal writer, but he's well-known as a fantasy novelist, and he's interested in a lot of themes of sort of power dynamics and like actually taking. He's using this story as an interesting way to comment on incarceration, and like there's a great moment early on where. The Royal Black Bolt looks at Crusher Creel and goes like, I'm worth 100 of him, right? And it's just an interesting, like, what is the worth of a man? Like, what do we have to say about this?
This color palette
yeah,
is
show that
gorgeous.
off.
Okay,
Show
Steve,
that off.
we're gonna
That is
need
gorgeous.
this. Look at that! Wow!
Yeah, wow.
Oh God, that's killer. All right, I'm reading.
It only went, I believe, 12 issues. Saladin Ahmed is currently writing a book that I love very much, Exiles. The very silly but also feels destroying alternate universe romp made up of a bunch of alternate universe X-Men characters, more or less. Like the grizzled apocalyptic Kamala Khan, it just goes by Khan.
Grizzled apocalyptic.
Yeah, from
I
the
love
universe
that.
where things went wrong.
Does anybody like go Khan?
Inevitably. I mean,
You
gotta.
have to. This is the book that introduced movie Valkyrie from an alternate dimension in the comics. Is currently core cast in Exile.
Oh, and Carter and Captain Carter. Captain
An
Carter.
alternate universe where Peggy Carter picks up the shield and becomes Captain America.
Excellent.
Which she herself acknowledges is ridiculous.
It's an amazing image. Like that is a costume design. That was what sold me on the book, was that costume design. I'm like, that is a look. Oh
and
my
I think
God.
they got it. They pulled it from games.
LEWK.
Because they did that. They made an alternate, like one of the mobile games introduced. Which
Puzzle
one?
Quest.
Puzzle
Marvel
Quest?
Puzzle Quest. Not sponsoring us, but please call us. Introduced this cool design, and when they were sort of casting around for Exiles things, like Rodriguez, I think maybe Javier, not sure about that one, is the artist on that book. And anyway, that book's not nominated for anything yet. I just love it.
I sent you down a rabbit hole. I know, it's a really fun book.
And there's a cartoon Wolverine who doesn't know what killing is.
Like
There you
literally
go.
a Taliesin.
There you
Oh
go.
God, look at that! Look at that Captain America.
Blink is the main character, and she's wonderful. She was the original main character of the other Exiles, where they hop around to universes fixing things. But the great stuff about alternate universes is you can have things go as wrong as you want, because it's like, well, this universe is dying.
Zombies.
I
Go
love
to a different Earth.
I love Marvel Zombies, and I love that thing. Oh man.
I love that Black Panther totally survives and is like not bitten at all, but things are missing. But whatever. What Earth is that? It's like 2149, I think.
Bless
remember.
you.
I think it's
Well, but
2149.
they started in
Chat room can
Ultimate,
let me
didn't
know
they?
if I got that
No,
wrong.
no, it existed before Ultimates, and then the Ultimates crossed over with it, and
Okay.
like because we thought we were going to get an Ultimates normal universe crossover, and then they were like, F you, no, Ugh.
So that's first nominee for Best New Series, Saladin Ahmed and
Spoilers
Kristen
at that
Ward.
point.
Yeah.
That artist is also attached to a new announcement that just came out of a new sci-fi book that G. Willow Wilson is doing with Christian Ward, which I'm very excited for, and I can't remember where they're publishing it, but I'm gonna read it wherever it is.
This is how I find out about my comics news also, people. So don't worry at home if you don't know any of this. This is how I learn.
We've got 4 more for Best New. We've got Grass Kings by Matt Kint and Tyler Jenkins from Boom Studios.
I haven't read it yet, but it's gorgeous.
I have just started it. It is beautifully painted by Tyler Jenkins.
Oh,
You can
wow,
show
look
off
at
some
this.
of that.
Oh yeah, here you go.
It is a small town full of
Kind of like
secrets.
watercolor.
It's
but-
very watercolor. It's got, I mean, like here, I'll pull up a cover really quickly. It's really got a vibe. I'm looking forward to this. The only reason I haven't read it yet is just due to chronological issues. But this is something I plan on getting through in the next week. Hopefully even possibly before I hit Comic-Con. Oh God, it's just gorgeous.
So Grass
You know
Kings.
that's like tomorrow, right? That's like tomorrow.
It's happening now.
Yeah, it's happening. Previews happening.
Oh, that feels really good. I don't go down till later, so it doesn't start for me for days.
You have commitments
going,
on
Fridays?
Thursdays,
Yeah,
as
like
it
Friday.
turns out.
Yeah.
No?
I have
Matt Kint is a
commitments.
writer I really, really love. So I generally just trust him to do interesting shit, whatever he's doing. He did a wonderful spy story called Mind Management that he wrote himself a couple years back.
Oh God, that's cool. There's a boat in a tree. I'm already.
So this is a story of a small town by a lake with an interesting history and a lot of secrets coming back to life to sort of haunt them. And it's a Matt Kint and Tyler Jenkins joint. Did anybody get a chance to read Maestros from Image?
Man, I don't think I got a
By
chance to read
Steve
that
Gross.
either.
That doesn't sound familiar.
I did not get a
pulled the
chance to
cover
read
of this one.
read Maestros.
Yeah.
I got other things, but I did not read Maestros. I'm not out of books yet that I read.
I hope Mikey's at home shouting at us without any voice because he has read all of these. But I'm going to show off Steve Gross and Dave Stewart. Maestros.
Oh wow, that's
This went
a
immediately
cover.
in my tip
Okay,
class,
that
and I haven't
looks
sat down
like a
with
Matt
you.
Key comic. You'd be
Right.
That's
so
a very
into
Matt Key
that.
comic.
So into that.
So this is Steve Gross, who I know as an artist. I believe he did We Stand on Guard and a couple of other, like, many things over the years. But he's writing and drawing. This is an Image book with a self-floating wine bottle and some very scary plants. It's just on the cover.
And then half of a woman.
Yep, with some great tattoos.
Yeah, great
if you-
tattoos
if
and
you-
He's got Harry Potter
if you-
tattoos.
if you
And
fold the whole
he's
thing
looking at
together-
her.
He's into it, yeah.
He's into it.
If you fold the whole thing together, it becomes a completely different picture.
Probably.
Tab A to tab B.
Mauve.
Yeah.
So we are sorry to say this one is a big question mark, but we are very excited to find out. And this is my favorite thing about the awards is that they force me to actually go back and be like, wait, right, I did take that home. What is it? Is it amazing? Probably.
Nice.
Probably it is.
It's like the anime marathon room, you know, where it's
Yeah.
like there's
sit
a lot
down
of them
and
that you're
watch
like, oh yeah, I know this, and then it's like, I had no idea, and they'll show you like episode 3, and you're like, I'm in. Like, do you remember High School of the Dead? I'd never heard of that
Oh,
before, and
man.
then like a few years ago at Comic-Con, they showed like episode 3, and I was like, what is this world that is just like, and then like the bouncing around and stuff, I was like, all right, I'm in. It's fine. It's like this is just fun.
I don't know High School of the Dead.
Oh, it's worth a watch.
I've poked a couple of them. I haven't watched the whole series. I think
Yeah,
I may have
it's a
worked
short
on
it's
one
a
of them.
short series. I don't remember. It used to be. I think it used to be on Netflix. It used to be on something where I could just watch them all.
I have the Funimation channel. You can come chill. You
Yeah.
can-
But it's like it's fun. It's just high school students, and the zombie apocalypse happens in their school. Zombies tend to be activated by sound. You know, like if you're very, very quiet, then maybe they won't see you, kind of a thing. And then like these regular high schoolers, they have their own high school drama, and then they still have to go through the zombie apocalypse. So it's that, but it's also a lot of panty shots and bouncing boobies. There's a nurse character, I forget her name, but she's super bubbly and like huge. But yeah, and there's nosebleeds everywhere,
I read
you know,
superhero
that kind of
comics.
thing.
There's some.
There you go.
We'll all come with our.
And then of course it's based off of a manga, and like from what I remember, the manga went further than the actual series did. So I just like continued on with the manga. So, but yeah, I thought it was.
Chat likes
pretty
High
enjoyable.
School of the Dead, so that's
Yay!
okay.
Yeah, High School of the Dead. I mean, you can find it at any cons anywhere. It's like usually like I think I saw it for like $25
Oh, yeah, you
the full series. So
We got 2 more in the best new category. One is the very creepy and beautiful Redlands by Jordi Belair and Vanessa Del Rey. The one that I mentioned is possibly the former winner of the Newcomer Award, if I am remembering correctly, which is about a small town in Florida where you meet it with the good old boy cops. Exactly.
It's about a small town in Florida. That's all you need to say.
yeah, it's like, uh-oh.
Not ready.
And needless to say, it is a horror comic. It's small town cops and secret coven of badass witches and lots of trouble and dismemberment. I believe beautifully,
Beautiful cover.
frighteningly immersive, says Scott Snyder. Volume 1, Sisters by Blood, is available now of Redlands, and it is nominated for Best New Series. And they
Oh, that is a creepy little girl, man.
fantastic, prodigious, scary talents. Jordi Belair, who I feel like is Irish, so I'm very curious, if she's nailed South Florida, as weird as it was, and when Alan Moore did Swamp Thing, where you're like, how are you doing this?
There's something about
That's
Europeans
Louisiana.
where they weirdly know how to nail huge chunks of the South, in very interesting, weird ways.
I know.
I feel like Florida.
I've never been to Eastern Europe, but maybe it's like Eastern Europe. Maybe.
Oh, that would make me both happy and sad at the same
Right?
time. Yeah.
Like how there's Florida man, maybe there's Slovakia man or something.
I have friends who are technically Slovakian man, but they are, to be fair, Slovakian. So.
Yeah, I've worked with Czech people before, and they were super chill, like Southern super chill. So I was like, hey, maybe there's some water to this.
Jeff Lemire is back on the list again. One more for Best New Series, and I realize we're going to run out of time, so I got to start going faster. Royal City, written and drawn by Jeff Lemire from Image Comics. I forgot to load up a picture of this one, but
So glad
anything
you
with
came.
Jeff Lemire's name on it is worth your time. Just watching these two die laughing on the couch.
I feel like I'm feeling you, Amy.
4 categories down, 29 to go.
No.
Let's see. So we've kind of covered.
As long as we get to T-Dragon, I don't care.
Oh,
That's
dang. Okay, let's see. Okay.
There's a lot. I've got a few more in between.
There's so many categories.
Yep.
That's the thing.
There were 2 different short story noms that deal with issues of reproductive freedom, which I thought was really
I read mine.
trend. There was an anthology called Mine,
I read
Celebration
mine.
of Liberty and Freedom for All, benefiting Planned Parenthood, put out by Comic Mix.
It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I mean, in that genre, if you're, it was in there. I learned a lot. There's a lot of historical information that's quite interesting. If you're also interested in the history of voting rights for women and kind of a little bit of that interplay and interconnection of women's rights in the United States throughout history. It's fascinating. It's a lot of little short stories. Some will really get you. Some will be a little less so. But the ones that get you. So.
And it features the story Ethel Byrne by Cecil Castellucci, a past guest from our Young Animal episode, and Scott
Boom.
Chandler.
Ah, there you go.
Thank you.
Boom. I have it already.
On hand.
Another one. It was a really fun look at at the historical fight for women's rights. And
Yeah,
it was
certainly not completely terrifying to read in 2018.
No, not at all.
There is Transplant, which we talked about from Enough Space. Sophia Foster Dimino contributed to an anthology called Comics for Choice. Small mistakes make
not
big
have that one.
problems is the story in that one. And I was excited because I've seen her name all over awards for the last couple of years, especially in the very indie realm. But this, I think, is the first of hers that I'd actually read. And I believe I found a page that was appropriate to put on. But it is also
comics.
a story about, it is a very personal story about her experience with abortion and with a bad relationship and with, mental health issues, but it's beautifully told, deeply moving in a very short space. It is up for Best Short Story. Small Mistakes Make Big Problems. You can read that online. Life in Comics, Karen Green. And then I love that, history, autobiography, space stuff with Transplant, a Life in Comics about Karen Green, and then a story from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the Sophia Foster Dimino. Thank you so much.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you do so much with 5 pages or whatever, but it's something. If you can pull up Adventure Time from Adventure Time Comics number 13, there's a short story by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Antonio Sandoval, and Tal's already on it. Thank you.
That-
That's
wow.
the cover. Yes.
Whoa.
My favorite character from Adventure Time right there.
And do you have it open? Can we
I do not
pull up
have.
one of the-
I did not have it primed because I was not that clever.
I called it Forgotten Princess, probably. And it is a big, nice, circly spread. This is my hint.
Oh, here I have it.
Oh, this is
Yes.
nice.
It
Circular
doesn't,
spread.
it doesn't come up. I have it.
Sorry, I should have labeled it more clearly. The story's called Forgotten Princess. It's
Oh,
from Adventure
even
Time.
better.
is.
Way better.
And I love that this proves how widely the judges read, where they're sort of like, here's a small autobiographical story from an anthology about reproductive freedom. Here is a story from Adventure Time.
Yeah, it's a nice. I love that it's a little bit of everything.
This one will break your heart, though. Watch out. It's very short and it's very effective. And we are done with Best Short Story.
Oh, gotta roll.
Yeah.
So Best Short Story, Best English,
Almost
Best
done with
Continuing,
the first page.
Best Limited, Best New. There are several categories for all ages comics. For early readers, for publications for kids, ages 9 to 12, which featured a standout that we might want to mention. The Tea Dragon Society.
The Tea Dragon
Katie O'Neill.
Society. Yes. Oh. God, I don't even know how to talk about how much I love this goddamn book.
This is one I just took home this year. That
It's-
wasn't for research. I was just like, give me that.
I mean, like, if this isn't like the perfect distillation of my personal vibe growing up as a kid, I don't know what is. It is what is she, 12, 13? It's a young girl, apprentice blacksmith, who has a next door neighbor that cultivates
Very
animals.
unusual tea.
Animals that produce tea. Like, he's got a dragon that grows little flowers on his head, and then they make tea out of the leaves and flowers.
Yep.
That's very good tea.
excellent.
And it's got a little bit. It's got a tiny. We were trying to quantify it, and the best I've come up with is it's got the vibe of like it's like a fantasy novel from Mapletown. If you're like a kid who remembers that level of, it's that soft.
It is also nominated for Best Web Comic. You can read it at tdragonsociety.com. And it had the paper, the beautiful little hardback I have by Oni.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, look at that.
Oh,
Okay, I'm
that
sorry. I
scene
gotta
was
do
so
another one.
good.
I gotta do another one. We can get another picture up there.
So she meets another girl who has some sort of memory issues that you kind of find out about, and it's like, it's a wonderful story, and it's really beautiful.
It's simple. It's fine for all ages. It's got a beautiful, simple art that just really.
Like, it looks simple, but it's not.
It's
one of
dynamic
those.
and a lot's happening, and there's dragons and there's swords and there's and occasionally it can get a little violent as I turn to like.
Yeah.
But it's really there's an aesthetic there that's really captivating.
Thank you, Katie O'Neill. So let's see. Skimming around.
I picked up a couple others.
There's some great stuff. There's great stuff. You can find all of these nominations on San Diego's website. There's great stuff in the early readers, the 9 to 12, the 13 through 17 for teens, includes Monstrous, includes the very well-received autobiographical Spinning by Tilly Walden, and the multiply nominated Louis Undercover, which I haven't had a chance to
know.
read yet, but was one of the top, like, getter.
Is there? There's only like 2 other things that I read that I actually have like anything strong to say about at this point. But
Oh, is
like,
this your best humor pick? Is this why you loaded up the Batman?
Batman. Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, well, no, because
that a-
no, I didn't. It wasn't Batman Elmer Fudd. Although I admit I'm sad I didn't read Batman Elmer Fudd.
I heard great things about it. I haven't read it yet, but
I
it's
read-
Oh, you got Rock
everybody
Candy
says.
Mountain.
I read Rock Candy Mountain and Batman Annual 2 were the other 2 that I picked up.
Nice.
I can be quick about the Batman Annual, which was if you were looking for a interesting, out of continuity Batman Catwoman romance issue to make you kind of tear up. This is the Batman Annual 2 this year was the Batman Catwoman. Oh God, I'm just having like lots of romance tears. It's an alternate universe where they actually grow old and die together, and it's a lot, and it's like too much.
Oh,
too
and
much.
That's on our list because maybe we should pivot to some of these categories because these are great. Because Tom King is nominated for Best Writer, and among the works that he's nominated for are Batman, Batman Annual 2, Batman Elmer Fudd Special, and Mr. Miracle.
There you go.
There you go.
It gets very
Yeah.
hard to count nominations, as they mention in the articles, because it's sort of like, that's his are all the same company, but you get to like the colorists, and they're shared with 4 companies, and they're trying to do the math.
Yeah.
So the best writer noms are Tom King, Matt Kint from Grass Kings, Ether, Eternity, and Exo Manowar, Jeff Lemire from Black Hammer, and Descender, and they didn't even like.
Is Descender somewhere else? Is that the only one for it? Oh well, we'd have.
Descender got any
We'd have to.
I do have to do a shout out
have to
for Rock Candy Mountain, which
Yes,
was
okay. Best humor publication nom, Rock Candy Mountain. Tell us about
which
it.
is weird that it's a humor. Like I don't understand why it's falling into the humor publication. It's kind of a dark and gritty reboot of the Big Rock Candy Mountain song, which is a weird thing to say, but it's a guy who's a hobo on train. He's a train hobo in like a classical old style. Oh brother, we're out there, train hobo, who is convinced that the song Big Rock Candy Mountain is about a real place and has actually decided to go on a quest to find it, and meets all sorts of weird people on his quests, hopping on trains, fighting other hobos. The devil is walking around messing people up to try and stop him. It's getting, I mean, it's ridiculous, but works in its ridiculosity. I mean, like, I'm just gonna pull up.
Is this the same one that has an essay about history in it, like actual historical?
I think I think they do touch on it because it definitely is touching on some like here's the devil himself, who is a very classical devil of the time period, and he's just
the mustache and the horns.
Yeah, he's perfectly charming, except for the fact that he's murderous and evil, and
You know, as the devil is wont to do.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, the book is kind of a fun madcap adventure. If you're a fan of like hobo history, also it's kind of fun to.
Yeah, I think this
We should
definitely
do like
is
a
the
hobo
one.
episode where we'll read Cecil Castellucci's. What's the book she just did? Like a wonderful hobo story, and it's called. It's a little girl who runs away, and there's hobo signage all over it. Soupy goes home. Soupy leaves home.
Yeah, I know the one. This is also not necessarily a great kids book. Like it definitely it's violent. And I'm trying to find at one point they go to an underground fighting rink,
Nice.
and like it's pretty violent. I'm trying to find the woman
I
who
think
runs. Yeah, there's one where like you meet the woman who like runs the underground fighting rink, and like there's people getting like
That's
their arms.
super fashionable shades.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place, but it's
I love comics. You can just do anything.
it's an interesting read. I've been very much enjoying it.
Yeah, when I used to do a comic book roundtable for Skybound, I think this one came up as one of the recommends. You know, for it. So I love that this. I just kind of want to skip to the end to be like, because if this is the one that I'm thinking of, then it has like historical essays like at the end, like detailing the period.
That sounds like something they would do.
yeah,
I haven't read
it's
this
very
one yet,
it's very the devil is. You think your arm's long enough to box with God? It's just punching there. Going, I'm not boxing God, you son of a bitch. It's very much that's the book. Here, this is how we skip ahead on Comixology. I just hit the button.
Yay!
No,
And
no.
if
no
this
essays
is
in
the
this one.
collection, they may not collect the.
Yeah,
essays.
they
Sometimes
might be
do
the
that
jerks that
for the
direction.
Single issues, but not the.
We are being informed that we have to stop this now and actually deal with our 5-minute topic like good hosts.
I'm going to say the last 2 writer noms are 3 are Jeff Lemire, Marjorie Liu, and Mark Russell, who we've talked about previously.
Flintstones.
Kind of hope it's Marjorie Liu's year, just because that would.
That'd be
Oh,
nice.
monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will be happy with any of them.
All right.
So what's our topic this week?
That would require me hitting a button many times. Wow, there was a lot of questions we ignored. I'm so sorry, chat, that I've been ignoring you.
They're curious to like. Yeah, there's so
much good stuff.
many others.
So they give awards for editions of international material. There's that wonderful one by the Spanish artist that's about
Kindred by Octavia Butler is best
The adaptation,
adaptation
I
from
haven't
another
read it.
medium. Yeah, there's so
Ladies
much
in Waiting
here.
is the one. It's about art history. It's about a very famous painting of the Princess of Spain, and it's just incredible. That's
Yeah.
nominated for best international.
Read
edition.
anything Octavia Butler, by the way. Just go. Oh, this I don't know
There's
if this
also a
was
new
fair.
Akira
What?
release.
That's our archival collection. Will Eisner, the Centennial Celebration. How does that one not win?
Playing to the judges a little bit, I see.
Especially
Yeah.
when they've got the Akira 35th anniversary edition, which I'm very excited for.
I would be
Yeah,
surprised if that
that'd be-
doesn't take it.
We are really going to get yelled at if
Okay,
we don't do
do
this.
we have
Let's
the
do
topic?
it.
We do have a topic.
Okay.
And now, the Wednesday Club 5-minute topic. I am Amy Dallen. This is Taliesin Jaffe. We are joined by special guest Markeia McCarty, and we're about to find out.
This comes from the Alpha Chat from Muriel said, pick some of the crew or cast of Alpha/Geek and Sundry /Nerdist that are probably really comic book characters, and what are their powers after dark?
Gosh. So who of the behind the scenes, the casting crew at Nerdist and Geek
We
and
have to
Sundry
take
and
our
Alpha.
friends and give them superpowers that we do not know about.
Okay. I'm going to choose Hector Navarro.
All right.
And I'm going to make him the enhancer, where his power is kind of like that elder character in Thor and Hulk Clash Contest of Champions, where you have that hype woman. I want that to be Hector Navarro. He's the enhancer. He does behind the scenes, and any time in any show that he's on, it just amplifies everybody else's nerddom and talent.
That's amazing.
So I'm going to do that one just off.
No, that's off the top of my head. I suppose I'm torn with Whitney Moore of whether or not she has the ability to just generate enormous amounts of noise that are deafening, or telekinetic control of denim. I'm not really sure which is the. I think both of those are pretty equal.
I like telekinetic control of denim.
It's very her in a dark and evil way.
I do think that it's possible that Chief has been cheating all this time when he claims that he's found images. I think he can literally just pluck visual information out of the air.
He is the JPEG.
I love it.
Or the GIF. I'm not sure. We can call him the GIF. I'm not sure.
The GIF that keeps on giving. But it is a form of, it's probably wizardry.
Yeah.
Or like it's access to a dimension made of visual information, like the infographic universe, where he's just like, oh yeah. But those illusion, what we see just smaller images, I think, are probably like grander illusion powers after dark.
I mean,
There we go.
this is common knowledge that Gina has Forge powers, right?
Yes.
That she's basically Forge. Like that's.
Where
I
Forge
could
is
see
technology,
that.
she is costuming and making, so like she's the cardboard
Hot glue.
version
Yeah,
of Forge.
hot glue and
Yeah,
cardboard.
Hot glue and cardboard.
Anything can be made of hot glue and cardboard.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to delve into a few others. I'm not
Yeah,
going to get too esoteric.
I'm not going to rule out that Liz has mind control. Producer Liz. I mean, I
like
don't
that.
know. I've seen no evidence, but she
Eric-
just makes things happen.
Like mind manipulation,
Yeah.
perhaps. You know, maybe one of those powers where, like, oh, okay, I'm going to say it's pheromones, right? And it's something like, I don't know, malice or something like that, where she can just, like, put out these pheromones and then have you just kind of do what she wants you to do. But it was your idea the entire time.
I like that. That's very likely true.
Erica Ishii actually suffocated in a giant ball pit, in a haunted ball pit, and now is technically undead and neither eats nor sleeps.
The ghost that hypes.
Ooh.
It's just the energy of
hype.
thousands of
Hype ghost.
hype
Hype
children
Hype ghost.
who are the ghosts that haunt this ball pit. Yeah, just
And
feeds off their power.
you can summon her by various enthusiasm rituals, I think.
But you have to bring such hype.
Yeah.
More hype than ever before.
Will cause her to materialize in the location where she is needed for superheroing.
I'm going to give B. Dave Walters strongman powers.
He may
that,
have those.
and I think he might kind of be like Goliath, where he just steadily grows bigger until you can't really, like you don't notice what he does, like
shrinking lately.
right. He's just casually gigantic.
Maybe he's just getting bigger. God, that could be like in the entire thing.
It doesn't register
Yeah.
because we're like, he's definitely really tall. That is how I remember it.
Yeah.
And just he's going to be 15 feet tall, and we'll all have accepted
Be like,
it, you know?
yeah, it's
Like,
like
yeah,
that's.
that
He
seems-
was
that
always
seems-
like
this
that,
seems
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Seems right
I
here.
was. Yeah, I was like-
I'm trying.
I think Becca Scott comes from a Mixoplick-like alternate dimension.
Fair.
She is just here to sort of like observe. Like, I think that's why she's specializing so much in gathering tables together and watching them play out. Like, thank God she's not malicious with it as far as we know, but she certainly has got that side of like, I want to see what happens if I put all of you in here with this set of arcane rules. Like, it's kind of an arcade thing, it's kind of a Mixoplick thing, it's kind of a Batmite thing. It's just an energy, which causes me to think that she comes from a magical
She's an
dimension.
11th dimensional imp.
Absolutely.
There's just no fighting that.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
I like that.
This is
Or
all
like
perfectly
Oahu.
reasonable so far. I don't
Yeah.
really know
This
how to fight
works.
this.
What has Matt got? He's not here today.
I've been thinking, other than
it's
giving him the superpower to get the cold inappropriately.
Oh.
I know. Oh, I feel bad for that one.
What?
I don't know. I was trying to nail the
get
perfect.
sick.
Becky being sick is related to his superpowers.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, other than his ability to summon the birthday cow, which is very impressive.
Yes.
I kind of want to give him like Squirrel Girl like powers, where like kittens and dogs like
that's so
really
true.
love him.
Only
you know,
cute
like
animals
that.
will obey
Only
him.
cute, yeah, really cute
And
animals.
that's it. For
and
our 5-minute
Sam is Dazzler. Yes. Sam is Dazzler.
That'll work with me.
Do
There
they
we go.
specifically turn sound into energy and fighting ability, or like?
Yes, that and just they have like all of that awesome energy too.
Yes. I think our love turns into energy for Sam. I think that's how that works.
We have to, and on that note, I'm Taliesin Jaffe.
I'm Markeia McCarty.
I'm Amy Dallen. This has been our 5-minute topic. You can catch the Wednesday Club every Wednesday on twitch.tv/Geek and Sundry and at Project Alpha.
And as we only have a couple minutes left, we should also mention that we're all going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. So
Yes.
where can they find you at
Yes.
San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, I keep on meaning to make one of those snazzy Photoshop things that has like my
Yeah.
stuff on it, and I haven't. I might do it in the morning, but probably not. I'm just
I
I
figuring
have
it out.
the screenshot of my text edit like notepad thing. Like it works.
Oh, you know what? Perfect. I'm gonna do that and put some emojis on top.
Yeah.
These fine
Done.
people have actually already gone and they've been sitting in the chat this entire time. Let's give them a preview of where they're going to find you. Though.
Yes,
They're like
yes.
here.
So on Friday, I'll be at Nerdist House at 12:30 p.m. I'm going to have a live discussion with Paul Bettany and Palm Clementoff. So Vision and Mantis. So we're gonna talk Infinity War for 15
jelly.
minutes. I'm so excited for this conversation. So that, and then at 10 a.m. Saturday, you can catch me in the Most Dangerous Women at Comic-Con panel. That'll be at the Marquis Marriott Marina.
Oh, and,
And 3 p.m. Skybound Brown Girls Gaming Harbor House.
And you can
Yeah.
see us on Sunday at the Wednesday Club, and come see us Sunday at the Wednesday Club panel.
And there's a lot of Geek and Sundry activities on Friday at Nerdist House that you want to check out. There's a panel that we have on the floor, and then we're all gonna head to Nerdist House together. And
See you then in St. Different Weave. Oh my God!
Eisners.
Ah,
They're
so
Friday night.
much.